All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yvonne de la Rosa, and I am going to be one of your facilitators today for the Generation Z and the Nominal Group Technique. So you guys, we want to thank you for spending a little time with us on this Sunday afternoon as we begin to present and kind of teach you something about what it is to participate in a Nominal Group Technique activity. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Yvonne de la Rosa, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a second-year PhD student at Texas State University. I am from Seguin, was born and raised here, and got my degree, bachelor's degree at Southwest Texas, my master's degree at Texas State, and now my PhD at Texas State. I'm in the APSE program, which is Adult Professional Community Education. And so I'm going to turn it over now to my colleagues that are here with us today who will be presenting with me.
Hi, my name is Liz Castañeda. I am also a second-year PhD student in the APSE program along with Yvonne and Rana. I was born and raised in Florida, Homestead, Florida, and spent my high school years in the Valley, so I'm very familiar with that area, but I've actually lived in San Marcos for over 20 years now, so that's kind of home now. So thank you for joining us today.
And I'm Rana Zaydan. I'm originally from Houston and my family is from Lebanon. This is my second year in the APSE program as well. I'm a therapist at a hospital in Austin as my job, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
So we're going to start the teaching today with an icebreaker, and Rana's really great at doing icebreakers. If you've never heard of an icebreaker, it's something that we do so that you can familiarize yourself with the people in the room. Whether you know each other or don't know each other, this kind of helps you to get comfortable before we start our activity.
So I want to get you guys moving. So in a second, we're going to all stand up and go over into that area over there where the lights are. So the activity we're going to do today is called Who Am I? So each of you are going to get a card that you cannot look at, and it's going to be placed on your forehead like this. And it has a name of a person on it. So you're going to go around talking to people and trying to figure out who you are without them telling you the name on your forehead. So we're going to give you a few minutes to just talk and walk around and try to figure out who you are at the end.
But you can't ask, who am I? You're going to have to only give clues. Okay, you can only give clues to that person. So when they come up to you and they say, who am I? You can say, you are the President of the United States.
Can we use the mirrors?
You cannot use the mirrors. Good question. You cannot use the mirrors. Okay?
So that person that's looking at the clue is the one that's going to give the hint?
Right, so Rana's going to turn to me and she's going to say, who am I?
Who am I?
So I'm going to look at her thing and I'm going to say, you were once the President of the United States.
Okay.
And then she can start trying to figure that out. And then if I don't give her enough, she'll go to someone else.
Like Liz.
Hi, Ricky Martin.
No, I didn't say there's an actress. No.
My Leonardo
So thank you guys for participating in our icebreakers. I hope that got y'all moving and that you had some fun with it. And that some of y'all's was a little bit more difficult than others, and that we were able to communicate with each other. And now I'm going to pass it to Yvonne to go over our nominal group technique that we're going to be explaining today.
So what is the nominal group technique? So the nominal group technique is a structured method of group brainstorming where everybody has the chance to give input. Okay? So that's what the nominal group technique is. And so we're going to learn about that today. Then we're going to have an activity at the end that Liz and Rana are going to run for us and facilitate. So how many of you have been in a work meeting and everybody's wanting to talk at the same time? Raise your hand. How many of you have been in a work meeting and after the meeting somebody comes up to you and says, oh, this was my idea, but they never said it. And it was probably the best idea out there. So what this does, this nominal group technique, is eliminates those alpha people that come to those meetings that want to take over the meeting. This allows everybody the opportunity to give input. Okay? The NGT was originally developed by Delbeck and Van de Ven and has been applied to adult education program planning by Bedros. So I give you this background information so you understand that this is for adult education. Okay? We can use this for children as well, but really this works best with you guys because you have lots of funds of knowledge. Funds of knowledge are things that you bring to the table and ideas that you can give to your counterparts, your coworkers, or your colleagues. When can you implement this strategy? So when can you implement this strategy? This is a really good for small group discussions. Also, this is a good one so that the dominant people do not take over. Okay, so they don't take over, and this gives those that are a little bit more quiet the opportunity to provide ideas. Also, it's good, encourages the passive group members to participate. And lastly, results in a set of prioritized solutions. And I think that's what's important. After you're done with this and everyone's ideas are given, you're able to prioritize what was the best in your group. What rose to the top of ideas. Because we all can have ideas, lots of ideas, but then as a group, we have to have consensus of what we think is going to be the best. So there's advantages and disadvantages to the nominal group technique. The advantages is that silence, because we're going to do this with some silence, is that it activates the right side of your brain. Okay, it activates that side of your brain, which is your more creative side of the brain. It generates a greater number of ideas than traditional grouping. It encourages participants to confront maybe some issues that maybe you don't want to talk about, but you will do it in writing. Okay. Also, it allows the group to prioritize ideas, which is what we discussed. Some of the disadvantages that you're going to find, it minimizes discussion because we're going to do it kind of in silence. So there's not a lot of communication between each other right at the beginning. That will come towards the end. It also requires a lot of preparation in order to do this form of technique. And then one other thing is that it only allows you to look at one topic at a time. So we're not able to do multiple things at one time. So it's one topic only. All right, so I'm going to explain the steps to you guys, and then the facilitators will take over. On your tables, you're going to see a pen, sticky notes, 1 through 5, and then sticky notes to write on. So I want you just to see that first, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide you guys to present into small groups of 5 or 6. You're going to be together, 5 or 6. After we separate you guys, we are, as facilitators, are going to give you an open-ended question. We're going to provide you an open-ended question, and you're going to provide feedback to us, okay? Each person spends 3 minutes in silence, individually brainstorming the possible ideas that you have for this question, okay? The 4th step is groups will collect the ideas by sharing them round table or round robin fashion, and you guys will then record your answers on our flip charts, which are these here that you see. Okay? So you're going to write down what you want on each of your Post-its. Then we're going to share individually around the table. Okay? At that time that you're sharing around the table, you cannot criticize anybody's ideas. You can only ask for clarification on maybe why they're giving you that answer. Okay, but you can't say, "Oh, that's a terrible idea." We don't want that to happen. We want everybody to feel included. Number 5, each person evaluates the ideas and individually, anonymously votes for the best ones. So after you guys put your ideas, you're going to come and put them here. Okay? You're going to put them here. You're going to vote. So you have the stickies that have 1 through 5. 5 meaning that's the best response, that's the best idea that's on the board, 1 being the least. Okay? So you'll put your numbers here, and then your facilitator is then going to tabulate the votes. And then as a group, you guys are going to prepare a report. Okay? And a report does not mean a paper report. It's just a verbal report that says at our table, X, Y, and Z are the top of the crust for us. when it comes to answering your open-ended question. Okay? Then you're going to present, you're going to have somebody at your table who is willing to present to the group. You guys can decide who is willing to present to the group. We're not going to say, oh, Bethel, you're presenting today. We're not going to do that. You guys as a group will talk to amongst each other and see who's most comfortable standing up here at the front. Okay? Those are the 8 steps of doing the nominal group technique. So now I'm going to turn it over to Liz, who's going to talk about the nominal group technique at practice.
So in order for us to actually implement this, this type of group technique, we actually need something to discuss, right? So we've chosen Generation Z as our discussion lecture. So I'm going to go through a few slides. It will be not very long at all, but it's just something to kind of encourage your discussion when we start the actual program, or activity, I'm sorry. So the lesson overview today, we're going to go through the generation overview. You're going to see the different ages and years of each generation, the characteristics of Generation Z, what motivates Generation Z, the Z-er concerns, cares, and values. Then we will actually go into the activity and end with a conclusion. So the overview, when somebody says traditional, they mean birth years prior to 1947. Maybe you might know someone in your life that fits that description. A baby boomer would be between 1947 and 1964. Generation Z is between 1965 and 1980.
Yes.
Sorry, what did I say?
Z.
Sorry, Generation X is between 1965 and 1980. Millennials would fall between 1980-ish and 1995. Generation Z is between 1995 and 2010. And then we have the new generation that's coming up, and that's Generation Alpha, which is after 2010. So how many, let's say, baby boomers do we have in the room? 2, 3. How about Generation X?
In between that and millennium.
Yeah. So there is a generation, like a mini micro generation that they call the Zennial generation that falls. I'm in that too. So yeah. How about millennials or Gen Zers? What would you be?
Generation Z.
Generation Z. Okay. So we're going to go through this PowerPoint and see if maybe it describes some of your characteristics. So for Generation Z, they will be, by 2020, they will be the largest generation in the U.S. and representing 1/3 of the U.S. population. They are the most diverse generation in U.S. history. So can y'all agree with that? They are very, very diverse. 42% identify with the race other than non-Hispanic white. So very diverse. They're solution-oriented, and they see problems and they want to fix them. So you might see that a lot in the news now. We have a lot of the young people coming in to play in politics and all that, and because they want to fix what they see wrong. Their work ethic is similar to baby boomers. They're resilient and responsible, just like their Generation X parents, and they are more tech savvy than millennials. And they have lived in simultaneous realities. So they have both lived in these very virtual worlds, but can relate to just reality as well. So, other things to note about Generation Z is that they're loyal, they're thoughtful, compassionate, and determined, and they're very open-minded. So what motivates them and what inspires them? They don't want to let others down. They are very motivated by what they believe in and what the movements that are occurring. They want to make a difference. They want to actually do something in their life that's going to make a difference, and they also look for opportunities for advancement. Other concerns, cares, and values. They care about violence in the world. They want to end school violence as well. Wealth, poverty, and growing income gap. They're very worried about that, and so, like again, I say they are very involved in politics and what's going on because they want to address these issues. They worry about big business and corporation controlling aspects of the U.S. So, you know, things to kind of keep in mind is that they are willing to act on what they believe in. And one thing that we found very interesting is that although they're very concerned about financial stability, money doesn't motivate them. So that's something to keep in mind. So in order for us to get going with this activity, this is going to be the question that we are posing to you. So having heard a little bit about Generation Z, obviously we didn't cover everything, but the little bit that we've covered, what are some ways that we can engage with people in Generation Z at the workplace? So what we're going to do is go around the room. We're going to count 1, 2 at each table, and then we'll let you know what to do after that. So do you want to get started with 1?
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2,
2, 1, 2, 1.
Okay, so we're going to have all the 2s on this table stand up, and we're going to move over here, and all the 1s stand up and join this table.
Okay, so in front of you at the table, you have a packet of sticky notes without numbers. You don't have to use all of them, but you can use as many as you feel fit to answer the question. So what are some ways we can engage with people in Generation Z at the workplace? So you're answering on those sticky notes in front of you. If you have more than one answer, feel free to use as many sticky notes as you need to. The number ones, ignore them for now. So just focus on answering it. We're going to give you a few minutes to work in silence. No communication amongst each other. This is individual work at this point to just answer the question that is posed.
And we will let you know when time's up.
We'll give you about 4 minutes each. And I'll be with this group and then so if y'all have any questions.
So we're going to reiterate the question at each table. Rana's going to reiterate the question for your table. Liz is going to reiterate the question for you at your table. Once they're done answering or giving you the question, I'll start a timer for 3 minutes. You'll write in silence for 3 minutes your ideas on how to engage with people in Generation Z at the workplace. So they're going to start reading the question again to you now, and then I'll start the timer.
Okay, so what are some ways that we can engage with Generation Z at the workplace, or however you may interpret that question?
Go ahead and write down your ideas, as many as you have. 1 idea per poster.
It doesn't matter how many answers per slip, right?
Preferred if to have a different answer on each, you know, but if you don't, it's okay.
Oh, a different answer.
You can. If you do it like that, it's fine, but we're just gonna.
You have about 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
At this time, we're gonna do a round robin, just share what answers you came up with.
So now what we're
each, and
going
we'll
to do,
go around the table.
we're going to go around the
Just
table and
share what you came up with.
all of our ideas, and we can do one by one. However you want.
I'll just read both of mine. I
Maybe
think
not every
people
day,
in Generation
once a
Z
week,
feel like their work has a
maybe on Friday,
purpose
maybe
and
Monday.
how they contribute as a whole.
Mondays are worse.
And then also
Take it
like how
easy.
different incentives and ready to do well in the
The
world.
other thing I got was,
discussions
have them working on traditional ones.
to be held
Like
should be
work from
centered
home,
around the
call it,
topics of
or
interest,
let them work outside,
such as
whatever
income
it takes
inequality,
so they're not
and
doing the
seeking
same
out their
type of work
input
as their mom.
or how they,
They're
what
getting
solutions
different
would they
kind of way.
propose
Because
to the
that was
challenge
inspiring me.
of income inequality, which is, or any other topic. At work, I would say we need to work collaboratively along all lines. And not top down line, you know.
Give them stretch assignments to keep them interested, so that they don't.
This is the same, identify a problem
About their career,
and seek out
future with
their
their
thoughts,
so that they
and the ideas of how to
the
solve
process are.
because we think we know, especially the big boomers,
Policies or
how to solve a
procedures
different
for
problem
them
that
doing their
they
job.
have found. So really seek them out.
My 2 were opportunities for
You know, just
socializing
ask-
across the various
And I
age
guess,
groups
you know,
of the
the work
respective
problem
workplace, so
sometimes
wherever in
has a
this
problem
workplace may be,
Their challenges.
having the
You know,
employer
And
encourage just
I don't
like
want them to teach me, and I
cross-generational
want to teach them. I
socializing.
want to share. the
And
ideas.
this
that
is
we
kind of
have.
related, but
Because,
encouraging
sharing.
the incorporation of
It's not
Generation
top
Z
down
culture
anymore, you know.
into the workplace through the use of examples are like using, not shying away from
They all say
using
the same
prominent
thing.
language and symbols of
So another
that
group is
generation
shared,
when and if necessary. So like we all have different slang that was prominent in our various generations. I might know a word that he doesn't, vice versa. So if the workplace is you know, having to use language in those ways, don't shy away from maybe making the Generation Z person in charge of this particular thing and encouraging like, yeah, use the language that you know to, you know, communicate the message that we're trying to get across.
So for this next part, I'm gonna take y'all's sticky notes and I'm just gonna place them
I
randomly
think
on
sharing
our sheet
is
behind
more
us. And then
better
you
way
have
of
the
saying
tally.
it than trying to teach her how to do
So
it,
kind of
trying to teach us how
they
she
kind of
does
so we're
it.
not
I think
doing
sharing.
But the 5 is gonna be what you feel like is the best possible answer on the board. And the 1 is gonna be what you feel like is the least. You don't, there's only 5 sticky notes, so you're not gonna be ranking all of them, you're just ranking your top 5. So only focus on the top 5 for you individually. 5 being the best, 1 being.
I'll go ahead and pick up your.
I learn new words from my niece every day.
What I'm calling now
Every
is
day.
all these ideas on every word.
Just be you, but what's
And then
I'm working about all the ideas Yeah, say whatever you wanna say.
Once of them get, yeah.
There you go.
Otherwise it gets in the way, you're just like, well, what happened? Like, I don't know what's going on. Might as well be mumbling, I don't know what you're talking about.
Gotta get close. Be able to.
There, I have the top, the top, is it the top one? The top one.
Then we had
Young people years are more tech savvy. Older generations can teach common sense, basic work ethics, and common courtesy.
And the older generations come with common sense and the experience. So maybe we could rewrite it.
Open up the whole thing, like, hey, what, you know, what's your idea? What's gonna make the best thing? Have a whole new discussion on.
Because I had a boss who was older than I am, but she was
Help like Generation Zers in the workplace and how to make the workplace a better place. So our number one idea that we had was at work, work collaboratively and share ideas instead of telling other people ideas. We can just combine new thoughts with older kind of thoughts, I'm guessing. So I thought that was a good idea, so nobody feels like they're being put down or or nobody feels like they're being underestimated. Our second one was engage by asking for ways they are inspired in what drives them. I think that's a good idea just because you want to be engaged in your work and you don't want to feel that your work doesn't really mean anything, and so it'll just help you it'll help you feel better that you're doing something good in the workplace. All right, and our third one was make people in Generation Z feel like their work has a purpose and how they include how they contribute as a whole. And so these two are actually tied. I think they're both great ideas. So this one is just kind of like the first one before it. Yep. And then our fourth one was identify a challenge and seek out their thoughts, how they can improve it or find a solution for it. And our fifth idea was learn from each other. Generation Zers are more tech savvy. Older generations can teach common sense, basic work ethics, and common courtesy. And I think that's a good idea as well. So these are all of our ideas that we had.
Okay. So, our ideas, well, first of all, we had some great ideas. Every idea I wanted to put a 5 in. So, the first thing we wanted to do was, our top idea was talk about their career goals and their future with the company so that they can, you know, always know where they're going and they can act as if they're in the next job instead of the one that they're in. The second one was encourage them to speak out when policies and procedures get in the way of them doing their work. So that ties into the, they want to change things that they don't think are fair or that need to be changed. And the next idea was to encourage them to use their own language and find their own voice. So speaking a language that they understand instead of, you know, we have to be professional, you can say this and you can't say that. But as long as you are professional and you can communicate in your own language or a language you understand, allowing them to communicate that way when they're expressing their ideas. Did I get that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the second to the last is let them know that they're working on, their work is working on something bigger than them, so that they can know their why they're here. Just encourage them to do that. And let them work in non-traditional ways, such as from home, outside. We talked about treadmill desk, adjustable desk, collaborative workstations where everyone is working in the same station, no matter what department they're from.
We got to choose our topic, and when we were looking through these topics, I said, I think this is a really good one because for me in the teaching world, you always have people who are very outspoken and the ones that are really quiet, and I've always, when we walk out of the room, they'll say, this was my idea. Or that person would be me, that I had a really good idea and maybe I never said anything. This right here would have helped in a lot of ways to have those that are quiet speak. And I feel like everybody has great ideas. We just don't always say them because maybe we feel like maybe somebody's going to criticize what we say. And as you notice today, there was none of that today. There was not any room for that to happen. You had a facilitator at each of your tables that made sure that didn't happen, right? And so part of this for you guys is if you can't take this back to your workplace, we've offered you some education that you can take back. Even I was talking to Liz today and I said, this can happen at home. Those of you that have 3, 4 children at home, you can sit down and do this exact same thing and get their ideas, because sometimes we don't listen to their ideas because maybe we think we have the better ideas. But if you say, hey, let's sit down and give me your ideas, then you guys as a family can also generate a list that says, hey, this is what's most important to me. This is what's most important to me. So it doesn't just work for adults, but it also can work for families. Okay? Well, we want to thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate every single one of you. And when I told them that I put out a call to everyone, almost everybody said yes. And I said, thank goodness, because this was something that we needed this amount of people. Our colleagues, theirs maybe uses 5 or 6 people. We needed 2 groups to facilitate this, so we really do appreciate you. Do you have any questions for us about PhD? Anything?
And I have one more thing to ask for you guys before you guys go to. We have an eval that just has 2 questions on what you guys learned today is one of them, and then the second one is a high and low point of the presentation. So before you guys leave, you can fill those out for us.
And we'll pass those out to you. And all you have to do is fill them out. You don't have to put your name on them. Close them up and just leave them. Put them in the center of the table. That will help us to better facilitate this same technique or this presentation at a later time. And if you do want this PowerPoint for whatever reason, just reach out to me and I can send it to you via email. Okay? Thank you so much. We appreciate you.